Hey everyone, good to be back again with you for another faith-free family moment. And we've been talking about fresh starts, how Jesus and the power of the resurrection allows you and I to have a fresh start in our life in some real practical ways, whether it be from fear like Mary Magdalene, or failure like Peter, or even loss like John. And there's another individual character in the narrative of the Gospels of after Jesus rose from the dead. And I want to read from John chapter 20, verse 24 to 28. Now Thomas was one of the 12, called the twin, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, and place my finger into the mark of the nails, place my hand into his side, I'll never believe." 8 days later, his disciples were inside again. Thomas was with them. Although the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Put out your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe." Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." That's a pretty incredible encounter. It's interesting that the text marks at first when the disciples gather, Thomas isn't even there. I mean, put yourself in Thomas's shoes. You have Good Friday, that day of great loss. Then you have Silent Saturday. I mean, all the disciples are left with at that point are their thoughts, confusion, questions. I mean, think about it. Last 3 years, they've been following Jesus their whole life. That was their life, their day-to-day activity. Now what? And then Sunday came the resurrection, but not for Thomas. He's still stuck in Saturday. It's tough for him to move on. But the reality is he's doubting. And boy, can we relate to that, right? You ever struggle with doubt? Maybe it's just doubt of something big like, did God create the world? But most of us don't struggle with that, mainly because you look out the window and you kind of got to be a fool to not recognize the power and the beauty of God's creation. But we doubt in other ways. We doubt God's power in our life. Can God really change their circumstances? We doubt God's provision. Finances are tight, or we don't have this, or the car breaks down, all those real practical things. And we begin to doubt, can God really pull this off? Can God really provide? Does he really provide? And so we doubt his power, we doubt his provisions, and we doubt his plan. I mean, right? I mean, we're going down one road, and all of a sudden there's another road that we didn't plan, nor do we even, if we were honest, like. Can this be the plan of God? We wonder. We doubt. Wonder if Thomas had some of the same thoughts. Could this be the plan of God? Really? Certainly doubted his power. The idea of the resurrection to him was foolishness. It can be tough to recover from doubt, but the wonderful message of Easter is that Jesus has the power to turn doubters into believers. All you need to do is look in the tomb. It's empty. No one presented a body, and it appeared to over 500, and they believed. Their lives were transformed because of the risen Savior. Jesus takes doubters and he brings believers. He makes it possible to have a fresh start from doubt. When in doubt in these areas, whether it be God's plan, provision, or power, that creates huge problems. Because if we're not trusting in God's plan, we're going to trust in our own. If we don't trust in God's power, we're going to lean on our understanding and lean on our power. If we don't trust God's provisions, we're going to make really desperate type decisions. That's why people go into debt. Difficult bondages develop when we don't trust God's provision. It could be for a mate, and we're going to run ahead of God and go grab our own mate, or whatever it would be. Don't doubt God's plan, power, or provisions. And whatever doubts you have, take it to him. I mean, Jesus knows what it is to transform doubters. Not like you're the first one. And he gives a fresh start to people like that, to like us. And so if you need a fresh start, come to the tomb. Come experience a God who can transform doubt into belief. doubt into courage. And you know what's really interesting about Thomas? History tells us he's the first missionary to India, one of the darkest of all continents. And what did Thomas bring? Brought a message of transformation. He brought a message of a risen Savior. This doubter became a great missionary. And that can only happen because he encountered the risen Savior. Might you and I continue to encounter him day in and day out. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.